I want to do a little year in review of 2023 and also a, you know, preliminary look at what we think is going to happen in 2024 for the space, but also for Crew XP. So let's just talk about a recap really quick. What was your 2023 like, Chris?
It was fast. It was furious. It was a profitable year. But I remember, and I think I shared this with you at the beginning of the year. This is what I believe is the second year of recovery, real recovery year of the near extinction event we all survived called the pandemic. 2022 was we saw signs of it in 2021, but 2022 was the first, I think, full year we were all back, and it was wonderful because it was raging back, and but probably wasn't a realistic um, example of what life is going to be like. It was a huge swing back of the pendulum after being shut down for a couple of years. So I think in some ways 2023 was much more indicative of what the new normal looks like. I mentioned we had Dan Sarabin, the chief financial officer and one of the strategy team members of Dursey, last month on the call, and he talked about, he made a very compelling argument that the pandemic, or the COVID recovery is over. He said we are now living in the new normal. So I think 2023 represented what this new normal was like. Um, the reason I'm calling it normal, I think what Dan was alluding to, is we're all now at a sustained level of business activity that we're no longer, we know the customers have come back, but there are still disruptions everywhere. Um, Wages have still, doubled. They're all over the map. The talent gap exists in many, many positions. We still have inconsistent supply chain deliverables. We see some vertical markets have recovered fully, others not as much. So I think there's an uneven expectation of business by vertical sector, and I think that's going to continue in 2024, Khalil. So, that is my a 2023 takeaway for us was, let's get back to the proven processes and procedures that allow us to do business with each other efficiently, because that's the best way we can help our customers, right? That's what we needed to do, and so made great progress this year. And I know others are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, so it's so refreshing to be kind of back in that place, but it's also,
yeah,
sometimes when there's a problem at hand or, industry wide challenges, there's kind of some motivation and extra inspiration to get out there and to do more. And then whenever you're back to normal, it's easier to kind of coast or go fall back into the same rhythms that you used to be in. And obviously don't want to move backwards or be stagnant, but continually progress. So, how are we planning on doing that in 2024? What are the things that we're striving for as we go into this new year?
you just made a great point. I think one of the dangers that we need to all be looking for is thinking that things aren't good until we get back to the way it was. My personal opinion, Khalil, I just don't think it's ever going back to the way it was. Too much
Hmm.
has changed. I think the buyer behavior has changed, right? So we see it everywhere. A lot of companies have expanded or changed their offering. I think their business model has changed. We're living proof of that. So as we move into 2024, um, I think, again, we still are fighting to find the right talent. What's that expression? It's not enough to get the right people on the bus. You got to got to get them in the right seats on the bus. I think we are much more intentional about the opportunities we're going after. We're much more intentional about trying to create a culture in our own company, and culturally, the interaction with our customers, that we're creating a place that people don't want to leave if you work there. And we're creating relationships that are not easily duplicated by others. For me, it's been about focusing on fewer, I would say, better for us type of partners, and we are just pouring into that. And I'll give you an example. We had a customer early in the year who needed to. They had bid a project. and they ultimately got it, and they got it last minute. But the supplier that was going to be providing a lot of the rental components shifted and said, even though they had quoted a price and a very attractive price, they said, "Yeah, we're not ready to deliver on rental product yet." And they said, well, what am I supposed to do? We've got this job based on you partnering with me and giving me this price. And I said, and he called me and he said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I said, you're a great client of ours. Um, Here's what we'll do. We're scheduling the purchase of additional inventory. And of course, you wanted it in one of the busiest times of the year, right? And so I said, we have a capital expenditure that we're going to make on inventory later in the year. I will be willing to make that now early for you. I can't match that price exactly, but I can get within 10% of it. And I hope that helps you, but this is what we exist for. We're going to do it anyway. If this helps you, then we will do this because you're a huge part of who we are. And we aren't going to exist without partners like you. He said, well, if you're going to do that, then I'm also going to give you this, the labor business, and I'm going to give you this. And I'm going to get, so it turned out to be a win-win. But my point is, that's what I mean about, I don't, as he said, I don't know that we have many people or even any that would have done that for us to make sure that what could have been a lost project for us turned into a win-win. So I think that's one of the things that makes us different. I think
Yeah.
and culturally we just have to continue to do things to attract good people and make sure that they're happy. And so far so good. It's been a nice ride. If I have a title, Khalil, I call myself the constant gardener because when weeds start to show up, and we all know what it looks like to have a person who's kind of a negative influence on the culture, that can infect and really affect group performance. So I'm constantly plucking and picking and weeding to make sure our ecosystem is a good one. And so I think 2024, it's got to be a lot more of that. And for us, we'd like to, we're good on the process and procedures, but now we want to be more intentional about, not just answering the phones. Let's identify those people we think we'd be in a good in-service partner to, and let's go introduce ourselves more proactively.